All right, there we go. Oh, look at the cute doggies. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And here we are. All right, we got to do some this. I tell you what, I really worked hard on this one today, you guys, and I think you're going to love it. It's all about late summer plantings. But first, what are our wins of the week from our students, our members? So on the left here, we had Candace submitted her beautiful harvest of pesto and herbed butter. I was very proud of her. Oh, and
Thank you.
her verbena tea. And Rosemary made a delicious macaroni salad with all sorts of delicious lettuces, I think, from your garden. Is that right? Yay! So,
Yes, lettuce, and then in the salad, the pasta salad, I had some tomatoes and chive.
oh, very good. Very good. So this is what makes my day is when you guys are finally, I mean, a lot of the people here are just first time gardeners. So to actually be harvesting and cooking with your kitchen garden is so exciting. So that's great. So you guys keep on sending me stuff. I love seeing that kind of stuff. All right, so let's get in with the lesson. And we here's what we've been we planted this early spring, so now we should be harvesting. Everybody should be harvesting basil, rosemary, thyme, mint, all your herbs, verbena. You should be starting to get some tomatoes. I'm just starting to get some tomatoes myself, little cherry ones. I've got some medium-sized Juliets that are they're just starting to get ripe. So those should be coming on in a few weeks. I've got my mini cucumbers have come on. I remember Christy Hart got some of hers already. And Swiss chard, you guys, Swiss chard to me, that is the star. That is the star of my garden. That is something I have put in over and over, and it just goes all year long. I just never have enough Swiss chard. And that's one of those things that you don't really think about. You can substitute spinach, Swiss chard for spinach. It's very mild. It's really delicious. So I'm hoping everybody's going to plant some Swiss chard and use it. All right, what do we expect? Okay, everybody, it's getting hot. What are we going to expect? And when we see our plants do this, when they start withering. So number one, we will need to water more frequently. However, be aware not to overwater. This is the tendency, is that we get nervous. And I don't blame you. You guys, we've been working really hard on these gardens for months. And I know you want to keep them watered. So everybody should have a moisture meter. Make sure you're getting it out, sticking it in nice and deep, and make sure it's not staying on wet. Even if you do it, if you've watered, wait till that evening or even the next morning, and really make sure that that water meter is not on wet, that it's staying more in the mid range. Also, don't. Yes. Did someone have a question? Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, Megan is here. I miss you. Hey, did you have a question? Because we're allowed to ask questions anytime you want to know. Okay.
No,
See,
it was someone else. I think it was Anna B.
oh, it was Anna B. Okay. All right. So we want to make sure that we're not overwatering, but not underwatering. And also watering in the morning is the best time. If you can if we're doing it once a day. As it gets hotter, if we're getting into the double digits, very much might need to water twice a day. And that might be what your plants need. So just know this is a tricky time of year. It's always tricky with us because it's just hard in the desert. But anyway, we want to get the watering right. Shade cloth. That is something that we can talk about today. This is just something you can buy on Amazon. You can buy it at the nursery. I like to get 50% shade cloth. You can put it up any old way. You can stick 4 poles up and just drape it over your bed. We all have these tall obelisks, so your poles have to be taller than the obelisks, but you can just drape them over and help. And we don't have to do this yet. We're not ready for this yet, but that'll be, actually, I'm going to have my husband Rico, next month in our next class, we're going to do a demonstration of shade cloth, what it should look like. So just be aware of it, but we're not ready for that yet. And then when you're on vacation, don't forget have someone check on your plants if you can. And of course, if you really can get out there, if we really need to be out there, if you can, almost every morning or evening, check for those pests because they can really wreak havoc on our plants. If we don't catch it, we can catch it soon enough. We don't need any pesticides, and that's what we're aiming for. All right. We know this. Summer plants love the heat. That's our cucumbers, especially our Armenian cucumbers, our squash, zucchini, all the melons, eggplant, and okra, and peppers. So I thought tonight I would share with you guys all the different squashes. There's a lot of different squashes. I have a funny story to tell you. You know, I love synchronicity. I think synchronicity is such a cool thing. If you're really, really aware of synchronicity, you will find that it happens to you all the time and you maybe don't even acknowledge it. So I found a recipe on Instagram this week for lima beans. I'm from the South. I love lima beans. I just thought everybody knows what lima beans are. So I go to 5 grocery stores and most people do not. Nobody had lima beans, number one. And number two, nobody even knew what they were. So I came home and I looked at my husband. I said, I can't find lima beans anywhere. And I said, I'm just going to have to grow them myself. So there you go. Well, what happens the next day, I go to the Master Gardens to, this was yesterday, actually. I went to the Master Gardens to volunteer and I walk in and I say, hey, everybody, what do y'all need me to do today? And they hand me a packet of seeds and said, plant these lima beans. So number one, I knew that this is the time of year to plant lima beans is right now. So I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to plant some lima beans. And anyway, it's fun to know that we can grow what we can't find. So that's my story. All right. I also wanted to show you guys all these different types of, this is another thing. So have you guys heard of, is it Peter Pan or just pan squash?
Patty pan.
What is it? Patty pan. Thank you.
Patty pan.
Patty pan. Oh, that is squash. It's delicious and it's so cute. And it really just tastes like squash. It doesn't really taste any different, but it's so fun to grow. We can grow that here. We can grow, what is this? I'm looking at this picture, a cheese pumpkin. I have no idea what that is. Anybody heard of a cheese pumpkin? Look at this carnival pumpkin, little carnival squash. Of course, the acorn squash, the delicante. You guys, if you have never eaten a delicante squash, it is delicious. It's so good. You can just cut it in. It's small. You can cut it in half, put a little olive oil on it, pop it in the oven, and in 30, 45 minutes, it is tender and you can even eat the skin. It's so good. So you can grow those here. Butternut, you can do that here. I don't know what a curry squash is. I've never had that. A mashed potato squash, who knew that? And of course, spaghetti squash. So all these things can be grown here. Now, this is the part that we're going to talk about is making a better yield of your cucumbers and anything with a flower, that even a tomato, you don't really need to do it with a tomato, but you really do. If you want to have more squash or zucchini, you can pollinate your flowers. So this is very cool. I think this made this very easy. I didn't know that this is easy to learn. So when you look at your squash flowers or zucchini flowers, if you want to know what the male or the female is, the female will have, it's a bigger body before the flower, and the male is skinny. And if you look inside, the female stamen looks like this, and the male looks like anatomically correct. So you could take the pollen with a paintbrush or a Q-tip, and they say a paintbrush works better, and you just collect the pollen from the, wait, which one is it? I don't know which one it is. Whichever one. I think it's the male. Yeah. You collect the pollen from the male and then you paint it onto the female. So we do that and you will get it's called hand pollinating. And that's how you do it. So it's Yeah, really fun. There it is. The male, you collect the male and you put it onto the female. And there again, there's the male stem and the female. And I'm telling you, sometimes you're going to see this. If something happens, see how there's looks like there's a fruit already forming? If this flower does not get pollinated by a bee or something, it will not continue to grow and it will shrivel up and die. So if that is happening to you, then you know you need to get out there with your Q-tip or your paintbrush and start doing some self-pollinating so that you can get your fruits to finish growing. Anyway, so that's that. Also, these are heavy feeders, so we want to make sure we're adding worm castings or your coffee grinds or some kind of compost to these things. And yeah, you can just side dress it, which side dress. Oh, you know what you guys are going to do? I have a Word document. I'm going to share it with you guys of all the different vocabulary words. I don't know if you realize that you guys are learning a whole there's a whole vocabulary, garden terms that you are learning. And side dressing is a word that you might not have heard of before. And it just means to work in a little, you can just, when I say work it in, you just sprinkle the worm castings or whatever it is that you're fertilizing everything with, or your compost or your coffee grinds. And then you just sort of dig it in. And that's called side dressing. And that just, and after that, if you water, that'll just seep right into the roots and your plants will be fertilized organically. And we want to be doing this. I said compost at least 2 times a year, but you guys know that we want to do that more than that. That's a minimum. Okay, so here's the thing about the zucchini, squash, and cucumbers. This doesn't this look like a stink bug? It looks a little bit like a stink bug, but this is actually a squash bug. And they do get into our squashes, and they say if we waited to plant right about now, you could plant a seed or your plant that they don't like the heat, and so they won't lay their eggs. So we will be okay if you've waited. Now, if you've already planted squash, it's totally fine. We just have to be on the lookout. And this is what you're looking for. Underneath the leaves are these eggs. That's what they look like. And you can brush them off. You can take tape, like gaffer's tape, and just press the tape onto the eggs and rip it off like a Band-Aid, and they'll come off. And then you should be good. But you have to be, if you see eggs or you see the bug, you have to really be consistent in making sure you get these getting these eggs off, because if the bug gets in there and starts eating your plant, it will just kill your plant. But again, if you've planted too early and you feel like your squash isn't doing well, I would go ahead and just get some seeds and put them in immediately, because you'll be fine. So squash bugs do not like the heat, and if we plant in late May or early June, we can avoid them. And this is what squash bug damage can look like, and actually can be quite worse than that. So look under the leaves for eggs. You can also spray it with organic, with dish soap, like the Castile soap that's got some water in it, or use duct tape. And this is a sprayer, another type of sprayer that you can buy, and you can mix up your soap and spray it on. And this is easy to use because you can spray it right. It's just a pump, and you just spray it over and under the leaves.
And Joe Jamie, when you say squash, are you also talking about zucchini, or is that?
Yes, I'm talking. Okay. So any kind of squash, that would be zucchini, yellow squash, and I'm talking about cucumbers. Actually, I shouldn't just say squash. They can get on your cucumbers, but it's not as prevalent. We don't seem to have as much problems with disease on cucumbers, especially the Armenian cucumbers. They are really easy to grow here, and they don't have too many pests. Now, here is another situation that you might encounter. I tend to get this a lot. I've seen this quite a bit, and it's called downy mildew. It's like a fungus, and your leaves get black and crunchy. And this goes on your pumpkins. I see it on the pumpkins a lot, the squash a lot. So this is another one that, again, a very easy solution. If you see this, if you get on top of it with that sprayer I was just showing you, it's very easy. 2 tablespoons of baking soda in some water. And that's all it is. Baking soda and water. You spray the top of the leaves, underneath the leaves, and then I would just pick off all the dead leaves, and then you should be fine. It usually will take care of it. But again, you might have to do it a couple of times to catch it. But if you don't catch it in time, you guys, it will just spread everywhere and your plant will die. So this is where keeping on top of our garden issues. And again, this is why our community is so valuable, because we have the text chain, and I was loving everybody sending in their things with tomatoes this week, and we're going to talk about them later. But when we see little problems, starting to get brown leaves, we're getting this, we're getting that, and we get them in the text chain. Sometimes it's nothing to worry about, but then sometimes there is. So the squash coming up, I want everybody, there's 2 things coming up. We've got the tomato hornworm, which we covered a couple of weeks ago. And if you're still new here, you can Google tomato hornworm, and that is something, a green caterpillar that gets on our tomatoes. I haven't seen one yet. You will start seeing little black dots on your leaves. And if you see little black dots on your leaves, that's the caterpillar poop. And then you do have one. And the thing is, you cannot see them. They literally are the size and color of the underneath of the leaf vein. And the only way to find them is at night with the black light, and they will light up. But you really have to search through your tomatoes very hard for them. And then you just pick them off or cut them with the scissors, and you can get rid of them. But if you don't, they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you'll see them during the day, but half your plant will be gone. If they get bigger, they go from looking like the thin vein underneath of the leaf to the size of your pinky finger in a few days, because they've eaten all your plant. So we want to be careful of the hornworm and of crunchy leaves, the powdery mildew, and of the squash bug. I'm not trying to scare you guys, because you might never have it, but we can get rid of all these things. We don't have to worry about it.
Do
So,
hornworms also like cucumbers?
no, the hornworms do
Okay.
not like cucumbers, but I tell you what they'll get into. They'll get into your cabbage. I think it's like a cabbage worm. It's similar to the cabbage worm. In the fall, we're going to have cabbage worms if we do cabbages, and that can be a problem. And your lettuces can get a cabbage worm too, like a little green. It's like a little green inchworm. And so, yeah, but the tomato hornworm, I don't know if they just like tomatoes or what that is. So, once again, the squash bug, I didn't put this in the correct order. I apologize. But just once again, you can just just a plain old sprayer that you have hanging around the house, or you get at the dollar store. You can just fill that up with 2 tablespoons of dish soap or Castile soap. I love Castile soap. If you guys have never had Castile soap in your home, I highly recommend it. It is the peppermint one. It's so gentle, you can actually drink it. It's not going to hurt you. It is the best stuff. It cleans your house great, and it smells good. But anyway, it's great on your why is this on that's not even a squash plant. That's a tomato plant right there. But anyway, you can put that on your squash plant. It's 2 tablespoons of dish soap and a gallon of water, or whatever you want to do. If that's like a quart, then just make it less. Now, here's another way to be prepared to not have pests. And this is our companion planting that we've always talked about. We love talking about companion planting. And that's planting something nearby your plant that will attract the pest. Instead of going to your squash, it's going to go to the flower. And I think these are the cutest yellow tansies. Those are so cute. That's a companion plant. Nasturtiums, which are, I love nasturtiums, are the best. They're easy to grow. They're large seeds and they're easy to grow. And of course, your marigolds. But let me show you what let me show you what's going to happen with that. they are going to attract something called now I don't know how to say this properly. The chitini, the tachnini, tachinated. Sorry, guys, I have no idea how to say this. It is a fly that lays eggs on the squash bugs, and the eggs hatch and burrow into the squash bug and kill it. So these flies, now I actually saw one the other day in my garden. You want these in your garden. So we got to remember another thing that we learn about in this class is the good bugs and the bad bugs. We learn that there is a wild stage of the ladybug that looks like a terrible, terrifying bug. And it's just the larva of a ladybug. And it hasn't become a ladybug yet. So anyway, that's cool. The ladybug, which we all know is a really good to have in our garden because it eats aphids. This certain fly will eat. They love to fly around these flowers, and then they find the squash bug and they lay their eggs on them. So that's we want to try to attract these flies. Another preventative is to rotate our crops. So you guys, this year we should all take note where we've planted things, and then next year put them in a different spot, because a lot of times the pest will burrow in the ground and lay their eggs, and then they'll come back and they'll think, oh, there's that plant again I loved. So we want to rotate our crops around, put them in different spots if you can. So we want to keep a journal and keep track of where we're planting things. And also keeping our beds free of debris. So get in there and make sure that if you have a hand rake, that is very handy. So when you've got dead leaves that have fallen down, we can just rake them out and get rid of them, because squash bugs like to overwinter underneath leaves and debris. Don't forget, we got to check the plants for eggs. And also, if we plant disease-resistant plants, they have a it's called early summer crooked neck. That's a yellow squash that does very well here, that doesn't seem to have the pest problems. And also a royal acorn squash are both good varieties to plant. So we maybe take that note for next year. And we can just, again, pick off the bugs or scrape them off with a butter knife. I like that idea. That sounds easy. It says, let them fall to the ground. Beetles will eat them. And also, don't compost, again, damaged leaves. Just go ahead and put them in the garbage. Melons right now, you guys. I hope everybody's planting melons. Melons do so well here. They do take over 100 days to mature, but the smaller melons, they're delicious and they do really well. So hopefully, if we have enough room, I hope everybody's planting at least a couple of melon plants. And once they start getting melons, you can grow them up, you can grow them on a trellis if you want to. And people use old pantyhose and they tie them up in the pantyhose, and they sort of got these melons hanging in the pantyhose, so that keeps them off the ground. If you don't have them trellising, because pumpkins and watermelon all like to trellis, very viney, very, very viney. If you just leave them on the ground, that's perfectly okay. But the trick for those is that you get little wood squares of just little pieces of, 1x1, any kind of wood, doesn't matter. And you just lay them on top of the little piece of wood. It just keeps them lifted and off the ground and keeps them from rotting. So I wanted to tell you guys that about melon, because you might not.
Space do you need for melon?
Yes, you need. Is that Candace?
Yes.
Hey, hun.
Hi.
Hey, yeah. So you do need quite a bit of space for melon. And you have a higher bed. So people that have a little bit of a lower bed, I like to just let them vine over the bed and they can just trail onto the ground. But Candace, your bed is nice and high. I'm wondering, you could get melons to grow if you wanted to use one of those pots you have on the ground. Don't you have like a terracotta lower pot?
Yep.
You could do at least one melon in there and it would just overflow.
Okay.
and it would just have to really make
Okay.
sure you kept feeding it, and it would do great. And again, that would just, you could just let that go on the ground, and again, we get the little pieces of wood. If you needed to, I could get Eric to help you get some. Rico would help you get some of those if you needed it. But I did want to mention that to everybody, because if you are growing melon, you definitely want to keep it off the ground, off the ground. All right. Now, this is something that is interesting to learn about. So, in the fall, now I wonder why it's saying squash here. Do you all realize that fruit is called fruit? Any kind of vegetable is called a fruit if it has seeds inside of it. So that's why tomato is a fruit, squash is a fruit, peppers, I guess peppers are a fruit too. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing. So make sure you, I mean, that's just a little fun fact. All right, I've got a sunflower warning for everybody. And I love to put sunflowers in our gardens because, number one, it's really fun for new gardeners to put in a sunflower seed. It sprouts really quickly. It's super easy to sprout. And then you've got these gorgeous sunflowers, and they do provide shade in the winter, in the fall, in the summer for some of our plants. And that's all well and done. That's all good. However, I learned something this week following another friend of mine that's a gardener. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is not good. I've been telling everybody to put all these sunflowers in their beds. Now, sunflowers are fine with tomatoes and cucumbers, peppers, and carrots. But it sends out, believe it or not, it does send out this funny, I don't know what it sends out, like some kind of a poison, that onions don't like it, kale doesn't like it, lettuce doesn't like it, and spinach doesn't like it. Well, the only things that would really affect the sunflower would affect is onions, because kale, lettuce, and spinach is really a winter, it's a cool, those are cool plants, and we don't put sunflowers. They don't really bloom in the cold. So that's not really have to worry about it. But I did see where this lady had planted sunflowers on the edge of her beds, and she had put in a lot of onions, and the onions that were close to the sunflowers just looked like they were stunted. And then the rest of them looked really good. So just be aware that if you've planted sunflowers, to keep any of your spring onions or any kind of an onion, and maybe even garlic probably, away from the sunflower. And that's my bad. I didn't really realize that sunflower wasn't a good companion plant for a lot of things. Okay, once again, what am I harvesting? Of course, oh, not really. Okay, parsley is almost done. I just saw a very interesting thing about succession planting. And succession planting, again, is one of our words. It's when you are planting seeds, and then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, planting the same seed again. And you just keep doing that all through the year, and you keep having different harvests coming over the year of that plant. Like, that would be good for a lot of root plants, like your beets and your carrots and your radishes. But you could do that with parsley and cilantro too. And we sort of did this with Fawn. I know she's not going to be here tonight because her son's graduating. So exciting. But we actually did this at Fawn's house. She had a shaded part of her garden, and it was still early summer. It was just like late spring when we did her garden. And we went ahead and we went and planted the cilantro because it was in the shade, and it did. Oh, this is weird. I'm so sorry. This might end up going short. I have paid for my upgraded Zoom, and I don't know what happened. I got the wrong link or something. But anyway, you know what? I'll have to stop, and we can start again. I'll have to send out another Zoom link. I really apologize, you guys. Anyway, it ends up that if you plant cilantro like in late March, because we're going to plant it, it's a cool plant. We're going to be planting it all through the cool weather. In late March, we can get in a whole nother season of it. And I'm going to try that again next year. But we did that for Fawn, actually, and it did work pretty well. So we can do succession planting that way. Let's see. We've got, of course, Swiss chard, lettuce is gone, mint, carrots. My lemongrass is really fun to grow. It grows quite large, And then once you have it, it never goes away. It just comes back every year, and you can use it in cooking. And Mexican tarragon is a great one because tarragon is a cool weather plant, but the Mexican tarragon likes the sun. So we can have tarragon in the summer, which is very fun.
Can I
And
ask a question about the lettuce? Like
yes,
once you harvest the lettuce, like for salad, like I've been cutting it at the just at the base. Is
yes.
it going to grow back, or that is a one and done,
So
like
no,
a carrot?
so a lettuce is exactly what you just said. It's called cut and come again. You're going to cut it around the outside. However, it's going to bolt now for sure because it's so hot, and lettuce is a
Oh,
cool weather plant. So it's going to bolt and go, and the lettuce will get bitter.
okay.
So we're pretty much done with lettuces now, unless it's in the shade. And actually, I have one lettuce left. I still have one in my bed that I haven't cut yet. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut it down I'm just going to cut the whole thing and use it because otherwise it's just going to bolt. So,
But I have romaine that I did from seeds, so they're just starting to come up. So,
oh,
what do I
right.
do with that?
Well, romaine sometimes tolerates the heat.
Okay,
So,
so just keep letting it grow. But the others I should pull out at the root and just make space for something else.
you don't even have to pull it out the root. You can just cut it, chop it off,
Hmm.
and let the roots stay in and let that decompose. Unless you
Okay.
really need that space. I mean, then you can pull it out. Maybe you can pull it out from the root if you need, because you probably do need to you probably need the space if you need the space.
Okay.
I like to try to, especially beans. Anytime you have a bean, the beans always put nitrogen in your soil. If you have a bean plant that's getting old, you can always just cut that at the bottom and you leave that root in there because it is still going to feed your ground. But
Oh, I see. Okay.
that's why I like to do that. And most everything will do that anyway, so that's all good. Let's see. All right, so oh, that was last week. So again, what we're planting from seeds are the cucumbers, watermelons, bush beans, or you can do something called, oh my goodness, what are they called? Long beans. They're the coolest beans. If you're going to do a bean, we can do them right now. Number one. Number two, you will need a trellis. Number three, you will need to soak them overnight. They do better. You don't have to, but they'll just do better if you soak them overnight. And just throw them in the ground, just maybe put them in about like maybe an inch in down, cover it up. They'll sprout in a few days and you'll have these great beans. And you can still do radishes and carrots and beets now. I mean, we can do them all year long. That is just mind-boggling to me. Of course, our melons and sunflowers and zinnias. I hope everyone's got some zinnias in there. Oh, I have some other really fun news. You guys, how I always put alyssum, that white little tiny flower on the corners of everybody's. Well, not all of it's alyssum, but a lot of times I put alyssum. It smells so good. It drapes over your edges. And I found out that alyssum is an edible flower. And I tasted it and it's delicious. It's a little bit peppery. It's almost like a nasturtium. So I'm very excited because I was always putting in alyssum just because I loved it so much. And now I found out it's an edible flower. So I'm very excited about that. All right. So homework. So the homework for this week, because we talked about pollinators, this is a really fun exercise. I want everybody to go out and see if they can find a bee and just stare at it and watch it do its work and just see what it does. And it's really fun because you're going to see a lot of times they'll store their pollen in their back legs. They have like a little pocket in their back legs and they're so cute and they fly around with their little legs hanging down and you can see the pollen back there. So I want everybody to have this experience. If you don't see any in your yard, I want you to go out somewhere where it has some bees and see if you can find them. It's one of the funnest things you'll ever do. Okay, anybody with questions? Let's see, let's see. Next class is June 11th. Let's see, I went through that pretty quick. All right, everybody
Something terrible has attacked my cucumbers.
say that again. What happened to your cucumbers? What happened?
Something terrible. I was out of town for 6 days and I don't know what happened, but it's horrifying.
Let's see. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to unshare. Hold on.
Okay. I can't really understand what's going on. It's like I guess it's maybe aphids, but there's also some black stuff.
What? Let's see
But
this.
then some of them have yellow flowers and some of them have white flowers.
I don't know why my Zoom is not letting me, yikes. I don't know why my Zoom isn't letting me make this big. Wow. I don't know what this, I can't see it because I can't get this big. Oh, wait, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Show me now, Rosemary.
That is
Wow. See, so I'm glad.
happening. And
Oh my goodness. You know what? The good news is, Rosemary,
I can plant more.
yeah, just pull that out and just pull that out. I
It is
don't think it's going to spread.
covered. It is covered in something.
Oh boy.
And maybe when I side dressed with the worm castings, I got it on the leaves too much. Like that could be the dark stuff. But then there's these little ant looking things everywhere. And but I have so many flowers on it.
Well, do you think, you know what? Do you think we should just put some Castile soap and water on them, spray them?
Yeah,
Why?
I'll do
It
that.
doesn't look, it's pretty green. Wait, what is that, basil?
Yeah, no, yeah, they're green. They're green.
Yeah.
These over here on the same row, everything's really way too close in here, but they're okay just down the line. It's just these first ones that are
Oh,
sad.
well, maybe you want to, oh, I hate to. Sometimes I get scared because sometimes I don't want it to spread to anything. And sometimes it's
Yeah,
better just to take it out. But
okay. I'll probably spray. Okay.
yeah, it's just spray. You can always keep it. Well, that looks good. Everything else looks good.
Yeah, everything. So also my tomatoes, everything that doesn't have flowers or tomatoes on it has turned brown. So I'm just trimming it all off because it's a lot.
Yeah, I have to say, you guys,
Is that normal?
I don't know what is going on this year. My tomatoes I can show them to you. They look exactly the same way. I
Okay.
I looked into it. Supposedly it can kill the whole plant, but I'm just keeping them picked off, and the rest is fine. It's still blooming on top. So I would just keep
Okay.
picking the browns. Hey, you guys, I do not know what's happening here, but it says I only have a minute left on.
Oh no.
I don't know what happened. I paid for upgrade, and I know I messed up on I'm gonna have to call Zoom. So we might have to end up early. We might end up early, or I can put another Zoom link quickly in our group text if you want me to. But I am so sorry. I think it's gonna we have 1 minute left. Anybody else have a question?
I have a quick question. My cucumbers are climbing up my sunflowers. Do I just take them off?
It's so cute. I'm smiling because there's a thing called the Three Sisters, and you plant a squash, a sunflower, and a bean, and then the bean crawls out. It's fine. It's just using it as it's going to be fine. I would
So I
just,
just leave it.
yep, just leave it.
Okay.
You might
All
need
right.
another pole somewhere because the cucumbers are going to really get big and go everywhere. So you'll probably need another type of support as well. But for now, if it's using that, I love it that it's using the sunflower because that was sort of the idea. That's great. And that
All
is a
right.
companion plant, so that'll be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's see here, everybody.
Also, if we have a second, you should check out my shirt my neighbor just gave me. He's totally into gardening. It says, "Gardening mom, like a regular mom, only more dirty."
Cute.
He just gave that to me right before this call. I was like, I'll put it on.
I love it. Okay, we want to wait. I gotta take a picture. Hold on, let me take a picture of that. That's so cute.